Hello everyone. Please subscribe to my channel. I will offer you a lot of interesting stories. Listen to one of them. About Katie. Kathy had never been out of work for more than a week. And she wasn't worried at all. She wasn't as young as she used to be, but she was still slim, energetic, and had a warm, friendly glow in her big brown eyes. Whenever she came for an interview, she was usually the first one chosen. She was confident. Her company had recently sent out notices to all the girls and managers that the company were moving to Minnesota as soon as the finishing touches were completed on the new building. Most of the managers paid for real estate expenses, moving expenses, and even finding new homes. The factory workers were left to fend for themselves. Oh, God, that makes it worse. Did you know they were closing? Kathy wondered if her friend Janet knew about it. Janet lifted her head and looked sadly at Kathy. I didn't. I heard Charlotte a few weeks ago talking about how well things were going at the company. Everything was going well. I always thought Charlotte knew what the big bosses were doing. Kathy looked at her hands, which were still holding the cloth, ready to insert it into the threader. Hey, there's Charlotte. Charlotte, did they expect us to keep making them or not? Charlotte was one of the skinny older ladies in charge of the lot. She looked really pissed off. She was waving her dismissal slip in the air. How the hell am I supposed to know what those assholes are up to? No one tells me anything. Well, nothing. Katie said in a whiny voice, do you think we should just turn everything off? It's going to take another half hour to finish sewing this bloody cover. Charlotte started waving her arms around to get the other girls to listen. Hey. If there's not much left for you to do, go finish the cover. The rest of you turn them off, but don't move anything. One of the bosses should be downstairs saying what he wants. Let's hope we get paid for what we've done today, but let's wait. After a few minutes, the noise of the sewing machine slowed to 3 or 4, then 1, then silence. Some women stood with folded arms, others just sat in their seats. Suddenly, old fat Harold appeared. He was one of those big men who waddled as they passed by. He had such a girlish voice that Kathy frowned every time she heard it. Hello, ladies. Gosh, we are so sorry to tell you such terrible news today. Yes, the business is closing down. Well, now it's closing down. Some of you, well, especially the hard workers he looked intently at Kathy and Janet. Some of you are going to be hired at the new, really new plant in Eden Prairie. Look, it's just a stone's throw from Minneapolis, and Mr. Covington is putting out a travel bag division that has performed well in test markets. Ronald, get me that box over there. I left it over there. By the door, Ron. No, that door. Yes, Ronald, that box. Harold noisily pulled the package out of the box and the room fell silent. It was beige in color with a light brown handle. Several of the girls around him clapped politely. The same wide fake smile still appeared on Harold's face, his eyebrows raised, and he dropped the boring specimen back into the box. He waved for Ronald to pick up the box and they both headed out the door. Shirley, a girl with lush blonde curls, ran up to us wide-eyed and looking pleased. Katie. And you, Janet, guess what I just heard? Some diamond company is taking over that factory. They're looking for people to sign a contract. I think it's on the 9th floor at the employment office. As soon as I get my check, I'm going there. Anybody need a ride? I have a van in the parking lot if you want one. Kathy looked at Janet. Her eyebrows went up and her mouth formed into a small, oh, hey, I'm coming. Diamonds. Wow, I can't wait. She grabbed Janet's hand and did a little cheerful dance. Maybe they'll teach us how to make rings. Earrings. Necklaces. Oh, my God. That's such wonderful news. I think I'm gonna go get my car. Come with me when we get the checks, and then we can stop for a drink to celebrate at Harry's. It seemed like that damned line for the checks had been moving forward for ages. The two accountants didn't know about the closing date. Some of the worksheets were out of date. So we made a quick stop at Harry's for a whiskey sour. Kathy drove Janet to her apartment complex and said, "I'm going to sign up first thing, right after 8. That's when they open, right?" Janet shrugged her shoulders slightly and replied, "Hey, if you come, I'll be ready at 7:45 or so, okay?" Kathy watched a little TV, caught up on some news, and went to bed. She dreamed of sparkling diamond necklaces shimmering in the light with dancing stars and rainbows of color. Tomorrow she intended to show up at the diamond company. At least the company had the word diamond in its name. And that was encouraging. Waking up at 6, she went to the kitchen to make coffee. Her old Corolla started up fine. She drove a few blocks and parked in front of Janet's complex. Janet's apartment was on the first floor, so she saw Kathy pull up in front of the house. They were both happy and giggling that morning. Diamonds. After all these years, well, a couple years of sewing canvas slipcovers, now they were going into the diamond business. A line lined up from the entrance to the employment office, and they saw all their friends and coworkers standing in it. They wanted a job like this too. I should have gotten up earlier, Kathy thought. Looks like we'll be lucky to get a job there. After all, there are so many willing applicants. I wonder how many they are hiring. Janet replied, "Oh well, what have we got to lose? Come on, hurry up. There's a whole crowd coming from the parking lot." Tension was building. Doubts were brewing. And they got in line, a slow line, as each person had to be interviewed, their employment history checked, their history examined. One by one they made a slow march, stopped and waited, took another step, waited. Finally, Kathy walked through the door and wrote her name on a sheet at the counter. 10 minutes later, she was called in. She felt the excitement again. She even wore her diamond necklace with cubic zirconia to show her new bosses her interest in the product. In diamonds. She was told to take a seat. Name? A young man with a mustache asked. Kathy answered, trying to look cheerful and energetic as the questions poured in. Finally, the young man said, "I'll call you in a few days." Kathy became worried. "Do you think I'll be hired?" "Oh, it's very likely," he replied. "We have a need, probably for the whole town. How do you feel about working with chemicals and combustibles?" Katie swallowed and felt her jaw drop. Well, I guess it's okay. Do you mean blowgun or glue?" She'd been thinking jewelry making then. But the young man smiled and replied, "No, not exactly. You see, Diamond is a matchmaking company. We're going to need a lot of matchmakers." Kathy felt cheated. She imagined her dream of becoming a diamond girl lighting up and going out, leaving behind a wooden match with the top curled up, black, ready to be thrown away. That's how her dream was cut short. The title turned out to be deceptive. Please write in the comments, did you like this story? And put a like. It's important to me. Thank you.